sports fans, Larry Allen here at the KGAS studios for the Pigskin preview session of the Carthage Bulldogs with head coach Scott Surratt. This is brought to you by Worthington Air Conditioning and Plumbing. Well, no game this week. Next week, Little Cypress Mauriceville Bears on the schedule. We'll talk to the coach about that a little bit later. Last Friday night, Carthage with a 27-7 win over Kilgore. All right, Coach, I want to start with the defense. Here are a couple of stats, or some stats that I thought were significant. I was really impressed with this bunch. You had 3 starters coming back, and really you could say 2.5 starters because Kip Lewis only started 5 games last year. And 5 3-and-outs for Kilgore, 5 sacks. Kilgore with negative 25 yards rushing in the first half. You created 4 turnovers. Scott, I was very impressed by our defense.
Well, we knew how much better they were getting. At first, it was not pretty. I can tell you that when we first started this thing defensively, but that's just a tribute to our coaches. Led by Coach Preston, defense coordinator, and of course Mike Morgan and Ryan Marion. Been here ever since I've been here. Just phenomenal coaches, and Mark Brown, Charlie Tucker, and then new coach. Austin Hall and R. Horton, they do a phenomenal job on that side, and it's fun to watch how much better we've gotten in a 3-week span before we played, and I think you saw it Friday night. And so without a scrimmage, and just going against us, and Kilgore does a little bit. They're not us. We do a lot of things, and Kilgore does their thing, but we played phenomenal.
All right, very good. Let's talk about one particular player. We called the name of Camden Foster a bunch, and obviously he's a new starter this year.
Well, he is a new starter. They've lived in our district, and his dad went over and coached at Timpson there for a while. His mom has been working here, and of course his brother Kellen played for us and graduated here, and so he went with his dad a few years to the Timpson, but we hired his dad here, and his dad is helping us out in football, and he played great. You saw how athletic he is, and he's a strong young man.
All right, going over to the offense, these are stats that I had. I had Mason Courtney with 80 yards, Kai Horton 13 of 23 for 226. So tell us your impressions of the offense.
Sloppy. Knew it would be, honestly, going against somebody else for the first time. It's hard when we had the new starters in the O-line and new receivers and, first really live game action. We knew it was going to be some sloppy, but and some miscues, but we got to play better. Kai, I tell you, he's got to play better. I got to coach better, call better plays, and it was just one of those. It's kind of like last year. It reminded us of Jacksonville a little bit. We were really, really sloppy starting out, especially. And the last game we had played was in Cowboy Stadium or AT&T Stadium, and with that big atmosphere, and then you come and you play an opening game, and especially this year we didn't have a scrimmage or anything, so it was. But we got better as it went, and then we had, a few guys that we kept out for precautionary reasons at half. And when you take Montrell Smith out, you take all of our motions and shifts and things. It takes a lot of stuff from us, and we worked really hard to get his brother ready to do that, and see if he can do that well. Because we can't just take everything away if one player. But Montrell's so experienced, and we can do anything with him on the field.
All right, speaking of Montrell Smith, bring us up to date on Montrell Smith and Montrell Hatton.
I think they're going to be okay. The doctors think they're going to be okay, and they checked out strength-wise this week. We're just waiting, and we held them out this week, but we'll test them next Monday really, really good and see if they can go.
Going to special teams, you had 1 extra point that was no good. I talked to your kicker in practice, and he said it fell off the tee, and so it really he never got the kick off. And then you had 1 line drive kickoff that spelled trouble because their top player Donovan Atkins returned it 59 yards and set them up in great field position, and they scored with 4 seconds to go in the half. So other than that, I thought most of the special teams went pretty good, didn't it?
It did, and right before half, we thought about sky kicking. We felt like they would fair catch it, and then they would probably nil it. We'd go in 21-0, but at the same time, Dalston Smith's a new kicker for us, and he kind of missed the first one also, and he can kick it 10 yards deep in the end zone. But we got to, he is new to us, comes from Round Rock, and we need to see what he can do with people in the stands and under pressure, and he's just got to get more experience because we're going to still let him kick it off. Because it would have been a touchback, I guarantee you, if he'd have caught it, and then they nailed it from the 25. So we decided to go with it, and we needed the experience of our kickoff team covering. We needed to see some reps of that and see if we needed to replace some of them or who's playing well on that unit also, because that unit will get you beat in a hurry. And so we decided we needed a rep instead of just sky kicking it. And if it would have been 7-0 or 14-all, we'd have probably sky kicked it and they'd have fair caught it. But it was I think we had the game. We thought we had the game in hand at that time, and so that's what we did.
All right, let's go to Thursday night. Of course, I run the clock, so I got to see both these ball games. The freshmen were defeated 16-0. As I recall, we had a couple of good scoring drives, and we got down close to the goal line, and then have a penalty or a play would not work as scheduled, and so we were shut out. But I want to tell you, fans, if you didn't see this, the JV just completely embarrassed Kilgore. It was 28-0 at halftime, wound up 49-0, and the clock ran the entire fourth quarter and part of the third. And very impressed with that JV bunch. I tell you what, either Kilgore had a really bad night or we've got one heck of a sophomore class. And you got to remember, folks like Montrell Hatton were not even suited up.
Yeah, we have several sophomores up, Ked Harper, and several of them up to also. So it is a good class for us. But going back to the freshmen, they did have their opportunities. Had one touchdown call back from Holden. And then they got down there, like you said, probably three other times and didn't score. And, Kilgore's got a really good ninth grade. I believe that group beat us really, really bad last year's eighth grade. And we, 30 points. And we closed the gap a little bit. And I'm sorry, they only beat us 14 points last year. And anyway, they beat us 16-0 this time. So, but we'll get better with that group. And the JV, you can see how hard and fast we played. It was like a blur, and our defensive guys running around, and offensively, our first score was a Noah Patty on a great throw for Connor Cuff, and great protection on the offensive line, and Noah, we believe, it may not be any question. I think he may be the fastest guy in our program, and so he just needs to get game time. We're expecting him up maybe later on Friday nights, and give us that deep shot or deep threat.
Well, I tell you what, he had 10 or 15 yards on that Kilgore defender. I'd say 10 or 12, something like that. So it was either great speed and or a great route or both, wasn't it?
It was both. Even watching it live and then watching it on tape, he caught the ball over the middle and in traffic. He got a lot of yardage or yards after the catch. I mean, he played very well. Connor played really, really well. Tailback Williams played really, really good. I mean, the whole team played good. Defense played good. We had a lot of guys rolling around. KD Bell had a big run at the end. I mean, it was really, really impressive.
All right, next week, of course, no game this week. Next week is Little Cypress, Mauriceville, and last week after the Kilgore game, in your interview, you indicated that your good friend down there, the head coach at LCM, indicated that there was a question as to whether or not they would be ready to host us down there. So what's the outlook now? I
talked to him this morning, and they're supposed to get power either tomorrow or no later than Saturday is what the power people's telling them. So then he's got to check his stadium and see if it's ready, and and I asked him if he's interested in coming up here, but he's not. He made that clear to play us, and now this time he said we're not going to go out of town when all the kids are pretty much out of town right now, because he said half my team's closer to you than they are me just because they had to evacuate. And so it's going to be some questions. He said, I got to see if the lights and electricity's working in stadium. And he's going to make a call Saturday. If everything's on go, then we're going to give it a shot. And so hopefully they can get everything worked out. If not, we're going to try to find a game across the state somewhere, and it may be a team that's got hit by the virus and then can play or something, and travel and play them or whatever, meet them halfway, and we'll just see. But it's crazy.
And those things are happening. The superintendent of Diboll this week, they had several players, football and volleyball, who went to a party last weekend. I know you told us in an interview from last week that you told your players, stay away from those parties because you're just asking for trouble. They went to a party, and now several of them have virus symptoms. And so the football game for Diboll this week has been called off, and also volleyball. And I noticed that Woodville, who Diboll was going to play, they found a game real quick. So they're playing this Saturday afternoon. So again, importance of staying healthy, being careful.
It is, and everybody is, we only have 9 games on the schedule. Worried about missing games. We're worried about more getting to the games healthy, virus-free, when the games really count, and there's district games. And just because of all this, man, we do need games, and we need experience, Friday night experience from some of these young guys. But at the same time, we got to get them. We got to get our players there healthy, and it's just a mess.
All right, Scott, I have one final thing I want to ask you about, and I don't know if the fans are aware of this. They may not be. You and all the other athletic directors and head football coaches in the state got a message this week from Susan Elza. She is the UIL Director of Athletics, and she mentions, just reminding the schools that, hey, listen, you need to follow those guidelines of the governor's executive order, GA 29, concerning face coverings, maintain that 50% capacity rule, and then also social distancing. And here's the thing that caught my attention. Schools not following these guidelines are subject to sanctions, including suspension of contest or discontinuation of public access to games by the local UIL District Executive Committee and or UIL State Executive Committee. So I would take it that this is not only speaking to the players and coaches following all the guidelines, but the fans too. Is that right?
There's no question. I think it's more the fans, or I know it's more the fans, because that's what the UIL's told us, that the fans are coming in and they're not social distancing, not wearing masks, and those kind of things. And, of course, they're getting 1 million pictures from everybody that's not doing it. And so when they get all these pictures, they did a big deal, and that UIL may drop the bomb this year. And, this is the day may drop the bomb for this year, and just bang the season, shut down the season if we do not start social distancing and using masks. Now, a good thing about it, if we can ever get to playing here, we're going to have Mr. Wink has purchased some what we call skipper seats, and Buddy J.R. Royce had come up with this, and we purchased them from him, and it's going to have skipper seat, and they can't sit closer than 6 feet. And so that's going to be good, good deal for us when we get here. So we're going to do it, and we're going to encourage our fans on the road. They either got to mask up or make sure they're social distance, or we're not going to have any football. And 'cause that's kind of what we told our players the other day. How bad you want to play football? Mask up, even in the class or anywhere. We don't care if it's Osborne or not. Just mask up, and so we can get through this, because playing with mask on is better than not playing. You don't want these seniors to miss their senior season just because they don't have their mask on, and then they get quarantined for 14 days because they were close to somebody with the virus. And so it's a lot of things going on right now with this COVID, but we can get through it if we just got to go by the rules.
All right, I want to ask you one word that she used that caught my attention, the biggest word was suspension. Okay, suspension, I looked it up, and generally that refers to a game that started but was not completed. So let's just take last Friday night. Bobby Bain was the referee. Does Bobby Bain or any other referee in the state have the authority, if he looks up in the stands and no social distancing and no mask, does he have the authority to stop a game?
Well, the referee has the authority to stop the game for anything. But I don't know if the UIOs came down and told the officials they can stop the game. I know the administrators can. The school administrators can stop the game if they see that there's no social distancing or that kind of thing. But I don't know. I know the referees can stop it for anything, for fans, for disgruntled fans or that. But I don't know if the UIOs came down and told them, you can stop it if the Carthage or whoever's not social distance, so I'm not sure on that one.
Okay, all right. Well, all right. So Scott, let's see. Tell us about. I know you're a person that really likes a particular sequence of things, to have a particular set way of doing things, and you do it that way every week. So how does a game week routine? How does that different from a non-game week routine like this one?
Well, anytime we have a open week, we usually give the players off on Monday. And what we'll do is we'll come in, show tape or whatever on Monday, and then after school, still a little bit more tape time to about 5 o'clock. That's what we did this week. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we lift weights during the period, and then we work out after school. And then on Wednesdays, we go out. And Wednesdays and Fridays, we'll go out during the period and do our 2-minute and special situation things and do some special teams, and then we will work out Wednesday after school also. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday we work out after school. And it's not long workouts. We're not going to keep them long. They know they don't have a game, and it's tougher. So what we want to do is get a quick hour-and-a-half workout and watch tape on the next opponent or whatever, and get them out by 6 o'clock. And we've achieved that every day this week, and we're going to achieve it again today. And then on Fridays, we will turn them loose, and the coaches will be going to watch several games. And if they want to, I'm not requiring them to, because now you can watch it online. You can watch it live online, most games, and we get every tape anyway. So. And Little Cypress they're not playing, so we don't know if they don't play us next week, we don't know who our next opponent is. So it's kind of crazy, but we have watched some last year's Gilmer tape and last year's Pleasant Grove tape, because that's our next, for sure, opponents, hopefully.
All right, so you have an open week this week, another one scheduled for the 18th. Anything brewing with in discussions with another school about filling that 18th date?
We hadn't found any yet, but that's a deal. It's if it was a normal year, there's no way we would have a game on the 18th, but it's nothing normal, and we know how many games are being canceled, and so we possibly could find a game that week also.
All right, those are the words of head coach Scott Surratt. We'll be back with you next week with another edition of Pigskin Preview, and hopefully we'll be taking on the LCM Bears. And next week we'll have Coach Surratt tell us about his time at Little Cypress Mauriceville, because he was a coach down there. All right, for head coach Scott Surratt, I'm Larry Allen, wishing you a great weekend. So long, everyone.